Scarlet Elvandimian has been engaged to Prince Kyle even before they were born thanks to a pact between their families. However, that pact is suddenly torn apart in the middle of a fancy ball as Kyle calls off the engagement because he is fed up with Scarlet and now he wants to be with his side chick Terraneza. While Scarlet is horrified at this betrayal, the guests in the party clap for Kyle and Terraneza as he declares that he is going to marry her soon. She can't understand how they can all be on board with this douchebag who just kicked off his fiance, but she soon learns the reason behind it. Kyle praises Terran, saying that she is a kind and smart woman, while Scarlet is just a without any emotions. He says that pretending to be happily engaged to her for the past 17 years has been the greatest disgrace of his life, and he is really happy that he can be free from her at last. Scarlet is not ready to back down so easily, and she reminds Kyle that the engagement was fixed by their parents and he cannot cancel it by himself. Kyle replies that he can cancel the engagement without seeking anyone's approval, because Scarlet is a petty criminal who has been harassing Terran out of jealousy. Terran starts acting like a victim as Kyle begins talking about how Scarlet bullied her on the academy campus. Scarlet calls that cap because she is meeting Terran for the first time in person as they are in different classes. However, Kyle had only 2 brain cells to begin with, and he has lost them after falling in love with Terran. He thinks that Scarlet is trying to insult his new fiancée by pointing out that she is in the elite class while Terran is from the normal class. He says that Terran has told him about all the times Scarlet bullied her, including locking her in the toilet and pushing her down the stairs. He calls her a cruel villainess, and Scarlet decides that she has enough of this man-child insulting her. She tells Kyle that she doesn't even care about the accusations anymore, and she is going to accept the nullification of the engagement too. However, she asks Kyle for one final thing before they end their relationship for good. The prince is not willing to give her even that, but Terran is confident of her victory, and she tells him to hear out the pitiful woman so that she has no regrets. Kyle starts simping for her kindness and then asks Scarlet what does she want. She slowly walks towards them and makes a tight fist, telling Kyle that her final wish is to punch the bitch in the face. Kyle is taken aback by her statement and asks her if she has lost her mind, but instead of answering him, Scarlet throws a punch at Terran's face with the most graceful form that even Muhammad Ali would approve of. However, behind this single punch is a long-ass backstory, and for better or for worse, we need to sit through all of it to see the payoff. Ever since Scarlet was little, she really liked hitting people, and every other week, she would pummel some unfortunate soul senseless with her fists. Her brother Leonardo always lectured her about her violent tendencies, but Scarlet told him that she was doing this for the greater good. While Leonardo knew that Scarlet saved a commoner from a noble brat this time, he couldn't forget how she looked with blood all over her. He told her that she was going to be a part of the noble society at a ceremony soon, and she should stop punching people and behave like a lady. That would prove to be the greatest challenge for Scarlet as she met the insufferable asshole Kyle for the first time in the ceremony. He told her that she would be his servant from that day onwards, and Scarlet used all her willpower to stop the urge to punch him in the face, because she knew that he was the second prince of this country as well as her fiancé. That was only the beginning of her suffering as Kyle continued to bully her and play pranks on her, while her hands were tied by their family situation. Even her father could not help her because they were dealing with the royal family, so Scarlet endured the torture for many years. Eventually, she turned 15 and entered the National Academy with top grades, and quickly earned a lot of fans. Unfortunately, Kyle was there too, and he publicly declared that she would serve him as his slave even in the academy. However, Scarlet had become immune to his bullying and tantrums by now, so she kept a poker face while dealing with him. A few days later, Kyle stormed into her classroom in a really foul mood and started abusing her while telling her to buy him lunch. Scarlet apologized and told him that she would do so immediately, but the asshole was not satisfied, and he dragged her away to punish her while leaving his cronies to watch over the girls so that they didn't snitch to the teachers. Scarlet soon learned that Kyle was pissed because he was demoted to the regular class because of his bad grades, and he wanted to vent out that frustration by attacking her. He decided to cut her hair and take them to his class as a trophy, and even with Scarlet's seasoned patience, that was pushing the line. She told him to stop or she would complain to her family, but Kyle insulted her father, calling him just a lapdog for the royal family. Scarlet was about to send his pitiful into the Shadow Realm, but luckily, the first Prince Julius was nearby and he immediately stepped in to stop the fight. Kyle couldn't do anything in front of his brother and left after getting lectured by him. Scarlet knew he would come back to bother her again, but she thanked Julius for saving her. He replied that he was just saving his younger brother before making small talk with Scarlet, who began to respect him for his good character. She knew that Prince Julius was the top candidate for becoming the next king, but the corrupt nobles feared him, and they were backing Kyle to save their was. However, the respect she had for the first prince soon turned into jealousy when she found that Julius had scored the perfect marks in all subjects, ending her streak as the top scorer. She thought that Julius must be really exceptional and hardworking, but as he approached her and told her how easy it was to get full marks, she got pissed. She took it personally and worked really hard to beat him the next time. But rumors spread that Julius lost on purpose because he wanted to make her happy. Scarlet was even more frustrated at this, and she decided to ignore him completely. But Julius kept pestering her. He even followed her after school, asking how things were going between her and Kyle, and Scarlet suddenly realized that Kyle had not made any attempts of harassing her lately despite the humiliation he endured the other day. She realized that Julius was hounding her so that Kyle would stay away, and she almost began to see him in a positive light. Julius then suddenly started flirting with her, and Scarlet would have fallen for it if he hadn't called her an interesting creature. She was shocked by his remarks, but it turned out that Julius was not lying, and he really thought that Scarlet was an interesting creature worth studying, and he even kept notes about her. That was the point she started hating Julius and wished to punch him along with Kyle someday. Back to the present. All her rage finally finds an exit point in the form of Taryn's face. With one punch, Scarlet sends her flying and knocks 2 more guys along with her. Kyle freaks out at this and asks her what the hell is she doing, and Scarlet coldly replies that she was bothered by his cruel remarks, and Taryn had to pay the price for that. She then walks towards the crowd of stunned nobles, fully aware that every single one of them is a corrupt bastard. She is angry at them because they celebrated when Kyle canceled the engagement, so she wears her punching gloves that she keeps with her at all times in case of an emergency. The nobles panic and call the guards, but Scarlet immediately puts them to sleep with magic before pummeling the nobles one by one. The nobles begin requesting anyone to protect them, offering their slaves in return, even though slave trading is illegal in the country. Scarlet realizes that these men are unrecyclable pieces of trash, and there would be no weight on her conscience if she knocks them all senseless. So she activates her special time magic to boost her speed and begins her rampage with her fists that are rated E for everyone. Soon, all the nobles are on the ground. Kyle is the last one remaining, and he has already pissed his pants after seeing Scarlet's true form. She tells him that it is his turn now, and just as she is about to punch him, her brother Leonardo comes there to stop her. However, he is too late and Scarlet punches Kyle into a wall, feeling really refreshed, while Leonardo is horrified on seeing the nobles scattered on the ground. Julius is really amused. Scarlet is almost tempted to smack him in the face too, but she decides not to go so far right now. She goes over to Julius and Leonardo to greet them, and they ask her what was the reason behind her violent outburst. At first, Scarlet talks like ChatGPT, saying that they did unspeakable crimes and then started justifying themselves, so she punished them on the spot. But when Julius asks her to give him the exact details, she replies that they pissed her off, so she knocked them out. Leonardo gets a mini heart attack on hearing this, but Julius starts laughing, saying that he wishes someone invented cameras already because he really wanted to see how Scarlet beat all the nobles. He says she should have waited for him to come here to start her slugfest, but Scarlet tells him that it is an unreasonable request. Meanwhile, her brother starts to spiral out of control, thinking about the consequences, but Julius assures him that he will take care of things here. Scarlet suddenly starts feeling dizzy and falls to the ground, with Julius catching her head just before she hits the ground. Scarlet wakes up 3 days later, hearing the sound of bells in her head. As she slowly comes to her senses, she realizes that she used too much of the power that Cronoa, the god of time, has blessed her with. However, the moment she opens her eyes, she finds a maid on top of her, pointing a knife at her. Scarlet calmly asks the maid who is she, but she yells at her to die and tries to stab her. However, she cannot beat Scarlet's reaction time and gets punched into a wall instantly. Leonardo comes running on hearing a loud sound from his sister's room, and he is aghast on seeing that the first thing she did after returning to her senses was punching someone. Anyway, he tells her how worried he was about her. When Julius enters the room, once Scarlet freshens up, Julius informs her that her engagement with Kyle has been officially cancelled with the permission of their families. Kyle has been kicked out from the royal family's inheritance for shielding nobles involved in slave trading, and all the nobles at the party have been arrested as well. Scarlet is pleased to hear that and asks Julius if she will also be punished. He tells her that she is too important for the royal family to be punished, but till this matter dies down, she is going to have a hard time finding a man ready to marry her. However, he also has good news for her. Julius tells Scarlet that her recent act has become a famous story all over the kingdom, and people are talking about her like she is Batman. They call her the blood-stained lady who sent hordes of evil nobles to prison with just her fists, and she is like a hero to them all. Leo is devastated on hearing another menacing nickname for his sister, but Julius tells him that there are more important things they need to deal with first. Among the nobles that got arrested, there are many prominent names who hold government offices, but their biggest challenge is the Prime Minister, who has been the biggest supporter of Kyle's faction. Julius says that the king also suspected the corruption in Kyle's faction, so he formed an organization called CIO2 in order to investigate it, and Leo is its current head. He then calls in one of their agents who was the first person to infiltrate Kyle's faction and bring valuable information. The agent turns out to be Sigurd, a lackey of Kyle, who immediately apologizes to Scarlet for behaving rudely with her all this time. Scarlet replies that he deserves an Oscar for his believable performance, and Sigurd gets worried the more she talks about that. Julius gives her the permission to punch him if she wants to put things behind them, and Scarlet takes the offer. However, she just lightly taps Sigurd on the cheek because he had also rescued her a lot of times while working for Kyle. After that, she takes her leave, realizing that she is finally free to do whatever she wants now that she is no longer bound to Kyle. The first thing on her list is interrogating the maid who tried assassinating her in the morning. Scarlet goes to the warehouse where the maid Nanaka is locked, but she finds that the maid has ditched her clothes. Suddenly, a feral cat attacks her, but Scarlet smacks it down and identifies that the maid was actually a shape-shifting beast folk. She tells Nanaka to return to human form so that they can talk, and it turns out that the maid was actually a boy all along. He is determined to kill Scarlet at all costs, and she realizes it is because of the slave crest on his chest that makes him obey any command from his master. She asks Nanaka if he will be willing to tell her everything about his master if she can free him, and he tells her to go ahead and try it. Scarlet takes that as a yes, and immediately pins him to the ground before using her powers to reverse the time on his slave crest. In this world, all humans are born favored by a god, but most people never realize which god blessed them. Those who realize it can use the powers granted to them by the god, and Scarlet is blessed by Cronoa, the god of time, which is the reason the royal family highly values her. She uses the powers of Cronoa to restore Nanaka's body to the condition before he was enslaved, but that tires her out. Anyway, the twink holds to his end of the promise and tells Scarlet that the person who sent him here was Prime Minister Godwin. Godwin's son was among Scarlet's victims at the party, and he ordered Nanaka to kill her, but he was sent here long before that to spy on her family. Nanaka tells Scarlet that Godwin is a crafty guy who sends spies to all noble families to learn their secrets and then blackmails them into joining the slave deal so that they can fall even deeper into his trap. Well, that is enough for Scarlet, and she gets ready to visit Godwin's house to whoop his Nanaka tells her to stop because Godwin is always surrounded by guards, but that is not going to stop Scarlet. So the crossing servant tells her that she will find a better chance to beat him when he attends a slave auction in a week. He doesn't know the location of the auction yet, but he promises Scarlet that he can get her in touch with the slave trader, because he is willing to do anything to get revenge on the bastard who enslaved him and many other people of his species. Scarlet is glad to accept his help and takes him along, unaware that Julius has heard her entire plan. A couple days later, Scarlet and Nanaka go to the slums to find the slave trader, and she talks about a chunk of mithril that she bought from a kid for 1 gold coin. Nanaka tells her that she got scammed, but Scarlet doesn't believe him. She then turns to Julius, who tagged along with them without invitation. At first, he says that he wants to learn more about his people, because that will help him become a better king, but when Scarlet presses him, he confesses that he overheard her conversation and realized that he can't miss this amusing opportunity to see some guys getting knocked out senseless. Just then, a bunch of thugs come there, and Scarlet gets excited that she has got someone to beat. However, Nanaka tells her to keep her battle tendencies in her pants because he can talk his way out of it. He approaches the thugs and offers to pay them if they take them to the trader named Junk, but they refuse to do business with weak-looking people like them. They talk about how a kid told them that a stupid rich woman bought a rock from him for 1 gold coin, and they decided to take advantage of that. They also beat the boy and took his gold coin on the way to show that strong prey on the weak, and hearing that pisses off Scarlet. She decides that these guys deserve a beating and enhances her strength before using his power to increase her speed. She knocks out 3 of the thugs quickly, and then aura farms on the remaining 2, who realize they are dealing with the infamous violent noblewoman. Anyway, Scarlet knocks the eye patch guy down and then turns to the last remaining bandit who said that the strong prey on the weak. She says that by his logic, she is free to do anything to him, and he begs for mercy, promising to return money to the kid. Scarlet tells him that he can do it after getting beaten, but the thug immediately uses the location of the slave trader as a bargaining chip. However, he foolishly reveals the location immediately, and Scarlet thanks him before knocking him out. She then turns back to Julius, who is clapping for her and asks what was he doing while she was fighting. He asks her if he should have intervened, and Scarlet immediately refuses. After that, Julius decides to talk to the slave trader Junk by himself, fearing that he may identify Nanaka or that Scarlet might beat him senseless before getting any information out of him. He manages to do so in a matter of minutes by bluffing and threatening him, and finds the location of the next slave auction. On the way back, Scarlet calls Julius a potential conman, and he replies that it is still better than being a violent maniac. Nanaka wonders if this is the enemies to lovers genre he has heard so much about. But then suddenly, Scarlet and Julius get on the same page as they ask him about ideas to infiltrate the auction. Soon, Scarlet goes to visit a nobleman named Zatharin, who is actually the slave trader whose contact Junk gave them. Zatharin is really happy to see a new customer in front of him, but he still tells Scarlet that it is not ladylike to go and talk to a lowlife like Junk just to reach him when she could have asked any noble she knew for his address. Scarlet says that it doesn't matter now and then asks Zatharin about his relationship with Junk. Za says that they didn't have any business relations and he just hired Junk to bring him any potentially valuable slaves that end up in the slums. Scarlet asks him what he means by that, and he replies that dwarves, elves, beastmen, and other species fall in the valuable category, and then he points out at Nanaka, saying that the beastman is also a really valuable specimen. As Nanaka gets anxious on hearing this, Scarlet asks Za how he figured out his servant was a beastman, and he replies that he has enough experience in this line of work. He starts laughing with that, and Scarlet is almost tempted to beat the crap out of him right there. But Nanaka stops her, saying that they need to stick to the plan. Anyway, once the sick bastard stops laughing, he asks Scarlet what kind of slave she wants. She tells him that she has heard about a slave auction going to be held in the capital soon, and she wants to attend that. Zatharin gets serious on hearing that, and says that to join the auction, she needs to get verified. For that, she needs to reveal her status to other people in the auction circle, and buy or sell at least 6 slaves. Scarlet offers him any amount of money he wants, but Zatharin replies that it is not about the money. Instead, he says that if she can give him the beastfolk slaves she has, he will take her to the auction as the daughter of a distant relative. Scarlet is really furious on hearing this, but she somehow controls her anger and smiles politely, saying that if this is all that it takes to enter the auction, she is ready to give the slave to him. Soon after that, Scarlet and Nanaka leave the mansion, and she still can't believe that slave trade is being carried out so openly in the kingdom. She is also glad that everything worked according to the plan, and Zap behaved exactly like how Nanaka predicted. Nanaka is also surprised to see that Scarlet doesn't use her fists to solve all her problems, and she begins pinching him for joking around. As they return home after that, Scarlet asks Nanaka if he is sure about this, because even though she can clear his slave crest afterwards, she cannot protect him when he is a slave. Nanaka replies that it sounded like he was going to put him up for auction, and he won't let anyone hurt his merchandise before the auction. He adds that he is doing this to atone for the crime of trying to kill her, and then suddenly starts yawning. Scarlet understands that beastfolk are mostly active during night and sleep during the day, and the very next moment, Nanaka transforms into his animal form as he falls asleep in Scarlet's arms. She takes him back to the inn where Prince Julius is waiting for them. Scarlet tells him that the negotiations were successful, and he is shocked to hear that she was able to handle the situation without punching anyone. Scarlet is already pissed at this comment, and then Julius says that he should have been with her to see this rare occasion where she solved things without violence, but the prince of the country can't go out to buy slaves. Scarlet doesn't plan to deal with him, so as soon as she puts Nanaka to bed, she decides to go outside to get some fresh air. Julius says that he was thinking the same thing, and he accompanies her, staying close to her all the time. Scarlet is irritated by this, but Julius keeps following her, saying that he has some business in this street. Just then, an apple pie merchant calls out to Scarlet, saying that he has an offer for cute girls. He says if she buys an apple pie, he will give her a free apple, and Julius decides to take advantage of the offer and buys 2. Next, a jewelry merchant tries to sell some cheap jewelry to her, and Julius buys that too, but not before haggling. He makes a purchase from a shady fortune teller as well, and Scarlet asks what business does he actually have on this street. Julius replies that he just made that up and calls Scarlet cute for believing such an obvious lie. She is really pissed at him and punches a nearby wall because she can't punch the prince in the face. Julius just chuckles at that and then gives her an apple pie that makes Scarlet feel like she is flying to heaven. Julius then apologizes for teasing her, but she replies that he can't win her apology with just an apple pie. However, adding another apple pie to that does the job, and Scarlet quickly forgives him. After that, Scarlet remarks that Julius knows the city's layout very well, and he replies that he used to skip classes regularly to explore the city. He asks how does she feel on seeing the market, and Scarlet remarks that when Kyle used to send her to buy bread for him, she didn't have much time to look around. However, now that she sees it, the market looks like a cheerful place. Julius is glad that she likes it, and he says that every time he came here, he wanted her to see this place. Scarlet wonders if he tagged along just because he wanted to show her around, and thinks that if he had just said it, she would not be as irritated. Suddenly, Julius starts monologuing, saying that he hates being bored. Ever since he was a kid, the only things that caught his interest were ugly and twisted things. He was always surrounded by stupid nobles who wanted to get into his good books, and he had to keep acting in front of them. However, then he saw Scarlet, who was not at all interested in him. On top of that, he saw his younger brother bullying her, so he decided to talk to her. He told her that he could complain to his dad if Kyle was scaring her, but Scarlet just gave him a creepy smile as she said that he just cracked a nice joke. That was the moment she had his undivided attention, and he never stopped finding her interesting. He once again says that he finds most things in the world boring, but he hates being bored. That is why he tries to keep interesting things around him, and right now, there is no one more interesting to him than Scarlet. With that, he suddenly leans in for a kiss to her cheeks, and Scarlet is dumbfounded. Julius says that this is not the traditional romantic love, but he is confident that he likes her, and she is very dear to him. Later that night, as Scarlet sits alone in her room, she still can't believe what just happened. She plops on the bed, wondering if the kiss was another of the prince's tricks to annoy her. The next day, Scarlet goes to meet Zack again and tells him that she will hand over Nanaka to him, but he must honor his promise. He agrees, but before that, he asks Scarlet for proof that the slave is really a beast folk. She asks him if he doesn't trust her, and he replies that it is just his policy to confirm the goods before accepting them. Scarlet orders Nanaka to transform, and he immediately turns into a cat or dog or whatever that creature is. Zatharin is delighted to see that, and just then, a big scary man with fangs growing out of his lower jaw enters the room. He stares at Scarlet and asks Theron if she is the slave they are taking in today. Zat tells the slave named Donovan that Scarlet is their customer and the beast folk with her is the slave. Nanaka clearly is not pleased to see him, and Scarlet also realizes that Donovan is a half-human and half-magic beast, which makes him a lycanthropy. Zat apologizes for his slave's rude behavior and then tells him to take away the beast. Donovan gets excited on seeing it and remarks that beastmen are known for their speedy regeneration. He puts a metal collar around Nanaka's neck and starts pulling him away, but Nanaka resists, making him angry. He swings his barbed whip in the air to hit him, but then suddenly, Scarlet grabs the whip with her bare hands. She tells Zat that his slave is quite well behaved, and if he doesn't have the guts to punish him, she can do it for him. Donovan just scoffs at him, and even Zat looks down on Scarlet, telling her not to provoke his slave, because he is a rank adventurer. He claims she needs to be as strong as a knight captain to take him down, and Scarlet asks him why does it matter, and grows confused and tells her that he's just worried about her. But then Donovan declares that it is too late. He is not going to let a woman walk all over his pride, and he decides to teach her a lesson. He starts pulling the whip away from her, but he can't even get it out of Scarlet's tight grip. He tries even harder, and Zat tells him to stop joking around because there is no way a girl can win against a man in a much higher weight category. Donovan replies that he is seriously trying his best, and then Scarlet asks Zat if Donovan is going to be put up for auction as well. He replies that he is going to keep Donovan as his personal bodyguard and trainer for other slaves, and that is good news for Scarlet because she doesn't need to worry too much about him losing value after taking some damage. And then Scarlet suddenly tosses Donovan into the air before punching him into the stratosphere. Zatharin's flappers are gasted on seeing this, but Scarlet doesn't care about him. She turns to Nanaka and removes his collar to see that he is bleeding. She uses her healing magic to treat his wounds and hugs him, telling him that she will be back for him soon, and in the meantime, he should bear with the troubles he faces here. Scarlet turns to the noble about the broken window, and he tells her that she doesn't need to pay for the repairs. He even thanks her for disciplining Donovan because he always fails to do that himself. Once Scarlet returns to her inn, she finds a familiar carriage parked outside the door. Her brother comes out of it, and he is really mad at her. He tells her that she can tell him the full story once they reach the capital, and as Scarlet sees Julius in the carriage, she curses him for being a useless prince who couldn't even stop her brother from finding out about them. Once they reach the capital, Leo starts drinking hard liquor at the tea table, asking both Julius and Scarlet if they have any common sense. He asks how could they risk their lives so casually, but Julius replies that they found the location of the slave auction, so it is alright. Leo calms down before saying that he also did some research and found that Prime Minister Godwin is organizing the auction himself. Scarlet tells him that the auction is in 2 days, and Leo panics as he starts planning things for the big mission. In the meantime, Scarlet starts staring at Julius, who smiles and asks if she wants some apple pie like they had the other day. She gets pissed at him for no reason, but then Leo interrupts them, saying that he has come up with a plan. First, he wants Scarlet to return home, but she refuses, saying that it is the only thing she can't do. Leo thinks that the only reason motivating her is punching Godwin in the face, but she replies that it is more than that. She says that ever since she was a little, she saw that good people suffer, while evil nobles keep on prospering. She believes that greedy evil bastards can't be punished using normal means, and she needs to do something about them in her way. She suddenly gets up, saying that selfish and greedy nobles are the most satisfying targets to punch. Leo and Julius have their usual reactions to her violent tendencies, and Scarlet says that normal people can't even beat nobles. But since she is the daughter of a high-ranking duke, she will be fine. Julius agrees with her, much to Leo's dismay, who fears that Scarlet's violent nature will ruin their family's reputation. However, the bigger problem is that people from the Vanquish Empire might be there at the auction. Both Scarlet and Julius get tense on hearing about that, because the Vanquish Empire has been at odds with their Palestine kingdom for the last 300 years. They are known to be ruthless people who respect power as the only hierarchy, and they are ruled by strong dragon riders. Even though peace talks have started between the two nations recently, Leo has confirmed news that the Vanquish Air Force has been in contact with Godwin recently. Coincidentally, at the same time, Godwin is having a meeting with some officials from the Vanquish Aerial Army. He is furious at Scarlet for crashing Kyle's party and derailing their plans, and asks the soldiers to get rid of her. The red-headed soldier gladly accepts the mission and flies away on his dragon. But Godwin is not pleased by his cocky attitude. Just then, a girl tells him to forget about the dragon riders and look at what she has got. She points a gun at Godwin, but since guns have not been invented in this world yet, he doesn't know what it is. The girl tells him that it is a gift from Goddess Palmia, and Godwin pulls out his pendant, saying that he already has a gift from her. He doesn't think that the funny-looking cylinder can do anything, but as the girl shoots a flower vase with a pistol, he is shocked out of his senses. The girl turns out to be none other than Taryn, Kyle's side chick, and she tells Godwin to use this weapon that can kill even the most fearsome enemies to win his upcoming battles. But that's where this video ends. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.